We're gonna get started here. All right. Looks like we're on Facebook, Instagram. We're getting over to YouTube. And there we go. Cool. Go live. Perfect. Well, welcome everybody to the BeatCancer.Org Ask a Holistic Cancer Coach weekly call. The date is August 29th of 2024. And we have a nice small group here that was getting away to some great conversation already. And I wanted to make sure that we captured it for the viewers that weren't able to be here with us today. Something to keep in mind, nothing that we say here is intended to be taken as medical advice. We're simply discussing information and resources and tools for the exploration, and due diligence is always recommended to take when matters of your own health are in question. Anything else to add to that, Carl?
Nope, just who we are. We're BeatCancer.
Awesome. Yeah, you want to go into that?
We're BeatCancer.org. We're a nonprofit organization. We've been helping people with cancer deal with cancer holistically. Our goals are to um, provide research-based education on ways to boost your immune boosting modalities and non-toxic modalities and ways to deal with cancer. And we've found them to be very effective for many people over the last 50 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a good handful of our certified holistic cancer coaches and coaches in training on. Thank you for joining us. We have a special guest, Mr. Rob Renee. He's got some really good stuff that he always has to say as well. So we thank him for being here too. And yeah, let's we could dive right into it. I didn't see the interview that you guys were
Do
discussing.
you want to recap what we were just saying, or
Me or Rob you're talking to?
well, okay, I'll do it. We watched an interview with Tucker Carlson. And what was the doctor's names? I forget.
Casey and Callie Means.
Yeah. I've been following her brother Kelly for a little bit now. I've seen other interviews with him talking about the food industry. Um, and I forget what their credentials are, but they're pretty heavily credentialed. They,
Yeah, it's impressive.
they
I'll tell you them real quick that I remember is
yeah, go
she's
ahead.
a Stanford educated physician, and she was a surgeon. So she was in her fourth year of her residency in her surgeon field. She was a ear, nose, throat ENT doctor, and before she realized what was going on and changed her entire life after that. And then her brother, is it Callie? Is that right? Or Kelly?
Yeah, I forget exactly.
Yeah, one of the two. But he was a Harvard Business School graduate who went in and was working in the like you mentioned, the food industry. So he worked for Coca-Cola for a while, worked for a number of the big companies in the food industry, and so they've really the interview was just incredible to watch because they were really talking about a lot of the things that many people have talked about over the last number of years, probably decades, but I've only been into this fight for the last few years just to understand how the food industry has been changed, and then how the medical industry has been changed. And so it was a phenomenal article or interview in the respect that Tucker Carlson, interviewed them, and he's got a huge platform now. And I think 24 hours after the interview, 5 million people had watched that interview. And then I got an email. I joined her email list because that's the first I'd ever heard of her. And so got an email like 24 hours later, and she said now it's up to 7 million people who'd seen it. So it's just neat to see these topics being widely discussed and talked about, whereas unfortunately they've been censored dramatically for a really long time. So that was a pleasure to see that.
Yeah, like I said, I've been following her brother, and what they were saying on that interview is how the food industry intimately tied with the pharmaceutical industry. And
Yes.
one thing leads to another. And quick side note, is that the food industry the big food industry is almost solely owned by the cigarette companies. And so the cigarette companies, they at one time have bought up most of the food, and in the ultra processed foods, they took all their uh, scientists that were making cigarettes more addictive. Side note, nicotine is not addictive. That's a rabbit hole in itself. Everybody's told that it's addictive, but it's not. It's all the stuff they put in cigarettes that makes it addictive. And they took their scientists and put chemicals into processed foods to make them addictive. So that's a large part of what's going on, is that people don't cook, they don't have time or whatever it is, call it laziness or just too busy with life because both parents have to work, and then you got kids stuff going on like after school sports and everything like that, and you don't have the time. And all these ultra processed foods have highly addictive chemicals in them to make you feel that you're unsatiated. It doesn't turn off that satiation uh, chemical or response in your brain. So
Yeah, I
people,
thought another really interesting part of that story that I did not know was that they not only did the cigarette companies, purchase the food companies that's been going on, but they brought over all their lobbyists,
yeah,
which I thought was wow, that was amazing stat when he was talking about that in the respect that the money they spend lobbying is incredible. When they brought all those amazing lobbyists that did such a successful job in the cigarette industry, and they brought them over, and now they all are supporting the food industry. So it's just when you see that, I've always talked about it or heard about it from the medical side, right? But then to see how they've done that with the food and how they've really just put it in as and the lobbyists have really helped change all of the rules and regulations to support what these guys are doing. It's just incredible when you see how well funded it is and how methodical they are in changing our food supply. It's just amazing.
now forget what it was. The oil industry used to be the big lobby at one time. That was years ago. I mean, it's changed a long time ago, but I think there's 8 pharmaceutical lobbyists to every representative. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's sick.
It's an incredible amount of money and pressure. And of course, you know, not getting political, but politicians are beholden to the money because they got to get elected again. And on top of that, um, there's no rule that says that somebody who is in politics or is overseeing the laws for both pharmaceutical and food industries can't get a job then after their political career in that industry. So they wind up it winds up being very incestuous. It's a big cycle. They go from the government that's making the rules to a high paying position in the industry that they're supposed to govern. And somehow that to me that just reeks of a conflict of interest.
Yeah, just slightly, just slightly.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm a tinfoil hatter. I'll admit it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's come to the point though where anyone that has a brain is understanding how these systems are operating. Like it's become so blatant, and even though it was evident the entire time that these things have been going on, right? It really hasn't been that secretive. Now it's become so blatant that it's just slapping the everyday person in the face so hard that everyone kind of is starting to realize what's going on. Or I guess at least everyone with a brain.
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, I wish that was the case. I'm not quite that optimistic that many people understand it yet. but it's helping. I mean, like just the fact that because they've been so masterful at censoring information, right? So all the six media organizations who own all of the other media organizations across the world, they've been masterful at censoring the right information. And now with some of these organizations like X, where it's you can't, it's hard to censor information on X and on Truth Social, and there's only a few platforms where there's really no censorship, and then that now information is starting to get out there and distributed in a way that they aren't able to control anymore, and it's driving them crazy. But so I just, it was really exciting for me to see that a topic that all of us are very passionate about, with people's health care and their health and what they're consuming, and then to talk about how it literally is being corrupted in a methodical way by somebody that's not a tinfoil hat person. It's a Stanford educated physician and a Harvard Business School educated senior executive, and they're talking about it. I was like, wow, there we go. So you're right. It is starting to become much more open and out in the air, which it needs to be, because it's been shoved under the rug for decades.
Yeah, it's not only censored. There's propaganda and gaslighting to go against it, or whatever, or promote things that are bad, and to call people that talk about it quacks. And they've done much more than censor. They take these doctors and they strip them of their licenses and worse. We just had that plane accident that eight doctors that were talking about the new turbo cancers and a way to deal with them. They all died on that plane, and a couple other important people that would have been on our side with this. So yeah,
Yes.
it's a pretty crazy world. But our goal was always to, at the grassroots level, create um, certified holistic cancer coaches, and through our coaches and affecting one life at a time, which is not a life, it's a family, and then hopefully generational change in that family. The idea is that we wanted to start from the bottom and cause a groundswell, because we don't have the money or the lobbying power to go to the top, or a venue where we can get the message out to the masses the way that they did with Tucker. So our whole approach has always been help the people at the bottom, and crawl and cause and do as much as we can, as many people as we can possibly.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we can do, right? Also with nonprofits, to lobby, you have to have a different type of nonprofit. We're a 501c3, which is a charity nonprofit, and we're not allowed to lobby. So that's just the way it is. If you wanted to lobby, you have to have I think it's a 504 or something else, which is completely different thing. It wouldn't allow us to work with people in the way that we like to work with people. That's always been our mission, is to change lives, one family, one person at a time.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Casey's conversation in the book. Her book is called Good Energy, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
And just starting into the book, but the book is, so far what I'm reading has been amazing, right? It just talks about how what you put into your body and what you feed your body really makes it a significant difference in how your body operates. And sounds basic, but a lot of, like you said, with the way people eat today, that they eat so much processed food, and the food supply has been tainted in a way that they're not getting the nutrients that their body needs in order to do the things it needs to do. And so she's got a whole, I think her and her brother together have done some really neat things to to help educate people on how do we, okay, if you do have something wrong, how do you go try to fix it and get help with that, which I think is awesome. I think you guys do a lot of that as well as part of your coaching, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. We address diet right away. There's as many definitions of good diet as there is people to create a definition. You know, every patient we ever get thinks that they eat well, but they're usually pretty far off the mark. You know, they say, "Oh, I just have a bagel and cream cheese in the morning," and they think a bagel's like healthy, and it's just it's incredible how bad that is. I mean, even if it was real untainted wheat or whatever, you know,
Yeah, where are
in
you going to find that? Not in the
the
States.
best nature, it's still not the greatest thing to have. You know, it just spikes your insulin and sets you up for a 10 o'clock in the morning lull where you're searching for your next cup of coffee. Yeah. But you know, people just don't understand, um, and we help them. We help them one step at a time. You know, to understand where they're at and where they need to be, and we do what they help them do what they can first. It's not always possible to address the most major thing first because that's too much of a dramatic change for people.
Right.
People are kind of stuck in their ways. Um, and in order to get compliance, you gotta work with them to what will they do? What will they do? Let's just make this one change now. Okay, now next week or 2 weeks from now, let's make this change and
Right.
until we get around to changing their entire lifestyle. And typically the feedback that we get is people say, "I've never been so healthy in my life since I got a cancer diagnosis." It was a blessing in disguise for them. And you know, and we can't ever say that we cure cancer because we don't. Their bodies cure themselves. All we do is try to get them into the best possible state to do the right things for their body to work its own magic.
Yeah, the body's designed to heal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, scabs is a perfect example, right? You cut yourself, you scab over and then after a while your skin mends itself, and that's the way your body's designed. It's
Right.
just a basic thing, but you know, type 2 diabetes, 100% completely reversible, right? Just get on the right diet, get off the wrong diet, get on the right diet. Yeah. And they've done that for a lot of years. I mean, they've had for, I would say it's probably, I'm trying to think back when I learned about it, it was probably almost 15, 20 years ago, and it was already 30 years old then. So let's just say 50 years they've already known about the type 2 diabetic diet, which is just a low glycemic diet, which is cut out all the sugars in the crap.
Right.
That's it.
So we've had a question. We had a question pop in from Facebook, but
Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question.
go ahead. So I have stage 4 adrenal cancer that has metastasized to my spine because my cortisol is so high. It's caused Cushing as well. My back has been in so much pain. I've been super fatigued. Any natural remedies for those symptoms, but as well as trying to lower my cortisol? Well, that is a very multi-layered question.
Yeah.
Of course, remember, we can't give specific medical advice, but we could certainly talk about some very interesting tools to perhaps consider in this scenario. So I'll turn it over to Carl or Maya if you want to share some tools or resources for this person.
Cortisol, I'll just say before I let Maya go, is typically a result of stress. That's one of the major factors of cortisol production. But I'll let Maya go ahead and give better explanations as she's a coach and I am not.
Thank you. Well, cortisol, it's a product of stress, but there's a different type of stress that our body goes through. One is physiological stress, where your body dealing with something. such as cancer, that is additional stress to what your mental or environmental stress body goes through. So learning how to eliminate stress is one of the, I think, the most important keys to when it comes to cancer, because cortisol converts into the glucose. It's one of the biggest downsides of the cortisol. Beside boosting, the body releases cortisol when there's inflammation going on. It's like basically helping your body to deal with inflammation. But when there's a chronic inflammation, that cortisol keeps the adrenal glands would keep releasing cortisol. So learning how to deal, the most important part is to deal with it, is to eliminate chronic inflammation. And with that saying, learning how to balance your mental stress by, you probably have heard it, by, meditation, deep breathing, and sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and by bringing in some herbs and supplements into the picture to help your adrenal glands, for example, kind of, slow down in releasing cortisol levels. Omega fatty acids are great. Consuming more omega fats would help your adrenals. But again, it all depends at what level you are, where you're at right now, and what kind of treatment you're on, because we consider everything before we do give any recommendations a client to go on with. I don't know if you're on any supplements or you're on medications. Everything matters before telling people what to do. But the most important part is that you have to learn. It's basically one of the necessities of learning how to lower your cortisol production, because cortisol would create a direct fuel to a cancer, which is a glucose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I haven't heard any comments back, but I did invite our commenter if they would like to join us on the Zoom. I sent them the link and they're very welcome to do so. Or if, oh, we got a comment popping in. I refuse treatment. I take tramadol and Zofran. No supplements yet.
Okay. Are you working with anyone, whether it's an integrative oncologist or a coach who can guide you throughout the process and help you to lower your stress levels? Because believe it or not, stress is one of the hardest thing to deal with. Not because, let's say, you can control your mind, you can control your stress by doing breathing exercise, meditation, walking, everything, but internal stress, that's another thing that we're talking about, that causes cortisol levels to spike. So I highly recommend working with someone who is going to help you to kind of start reversing chronic inflammation in the body, that on the first place that could trigger the cancer to grow. So that is, I mean, that's something I would recommend to work with, who will learn everything about you, your condition, your environment, where you live, what's your living conditions, what your diet is, and based on everything and your history would help you with a proper protocol, basically starting resetting your body. Just because it's stage 4 doesn't mean it's like end of the road for you. There's a lot of people do reverse their conditions when they are, working with the right team.
Absolutely. They said, I have an upcoming appointment with a holistic practitioner. My oncologist will continue overseeing care and doing scans. So
Good.
cool. It sounds like you're
That's so
assembling a
good.
team. Yeah,
Right.
it's good. It's good to not go at it alone. It's good to surround yourself with informed
Yeah.
professionals. Of course, always keep in mind that we have hundreds of certified holistic cancer coaches at BeatCancer.org if you'd like to add one of those to your team, and if that is something that you find appropriate as well. Maya is, of course, one of them. We have a couple more on the chat as well. And yeah, you're welcome to,
I
of
want
course.
to, yeah, I want to add one more thing. Another thing to lower your cholesterol is completely eliminating source of carbohydrates. That's one of the, you know, another important part. So that's another thing that I wanted to bring.
For cholesterol or cortisol, you're saying?
Cortisol. Did I
Cortisol.
say cholesterol? I'm
Yeah, you
sorry.
did. That's
Okay,
okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, no,
for
that's all right.
lowering your cholesterol. Again,
Cortisol.
cortisol. Yeah. So lowering cholesterol, the carbs intake does would let your body to release more cortisol because your body has to fight with carbohydrates and it has to they have no place in our body, and the body works very hard to be able either to eliminate them or to convert them into something else. You're losing your energy and you're giving your body a lot of stress.
Absolutely, absolutely. Promoting inflammation
Yeah.
and you know, a gluten-based sludge in the body. Personally speaking, from my own experience, I feel a world of a difference when I just step away from the bread, step away from the grains, keep it to whole foods, whole meats and eggs and cheeses and fruits and vegetables. That's what I do personally, and I notice a world of a difference.
And the fact that it converts right into sugar, which is cancer food.
Yes. Yes. It creates the great environment for cancer to grow, which is a glycation process of the body. And it's kind of a fermentation process that goes inside the cell that happens. And that's what fits cancer. It creates perfect environment for cancer to grow.
We've got another question in the chat. We have an old friend of ours saying, "Hello, everyone. This is Samaria. I have a question about tumors. Doctor said tumor is too big to operate. My husband seems to think that surgery will make everything all right. Every time we talk about it, he says, just get the surgery. What can I tell him about this?" And you are on the Zoom, of course, with us. So if you would like to pop onto the camera and turn on your microphone, you're welcome to expand there. Otherwise, you can, of course, stay in the chat as well.
I have two things as just an observer of cases that I've heard about through Beat Cancer. Some cases I've heard where when people change their lifestyles, tumors had reduced to a point where they almost disappeared. Have heard of that. I mean, it's non-specific because everybody's got a different specific cancer and lifestyle, but definitely that's something we've heard about. Other things I've heard about is people have a tumor and they live with it. They're because they changed their lifestyle, their cancer disease became manageable, much like diabetes is manageable. So that's another thing. People wind up living long lives up into old age and just deal with it accordingly, and it never progresses. So those are two things that I've heard, but I'll allow a coach to speak.
Anyone? Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well, I would say it depends at this point. If there is a tumor operable and could be removed, for some people it does work that way. They just remove the tumor and then they go on by changing their life and lifestyle. For some people, like you said, in your case, it's too big to operate. The way the conventional treatment would go, they would offer you a chemotherapy to shrink the tumor and then operate afterwards, if that would be the case. Other than that, and I also know when the surgeons goes inside the body and interfere with our body, then our body loses its innate ability, which is the immune system. It wrecks the immune system and kind of it loses its track because your immune system is at the stage where it's doing everything to protect your body. And if you're not working toward your immune system to boost your immune system, the weaker and weaker your immune system is going to get. And going inside with a knife, either popping a hole in the tumor or going inside with a knife, that would basically throw your immune system off balance, and your immune system might go against your body. So your own self. I know that too. So it all depends on people and their case and what they would like to do. And like Carl said, there's a cases when people don't do anything and they go on the right path and their tumor shrinks and they get better. Some people do live with tumor many years, 20, 30 years. I know like Pablo Kelly, he has a brain tumor. He's been alive for 12 years with a brain tumor, I know, which doctor gave him 6 months to live. So it all depends. What would you like to do, Samaria?
What about lycopene or a lycopene type drug? I know lycopene is in tomatoes, and that's basically a product that starves the cancer cell. It doesn't allow it to consume sugar, and they have lycopene type drugs
Well,
trying to mimic tomatoes, but that's the way it
well, there's so many things out there could starve cancer. We have to know origin of cancer. The basically origin, it's like a damage to the cell. It's a chronic inflammation that causes damage to the cell. And that cell with years, it doesn't happen overnight. This is from chronic inflammation. When a mitochondria becomes damaged and it start growing cancer. So one of the things is like to prevent fuel to cancer is completely eliminate source that it's coming from, which is carbohydrate and lowering like a glutamine, for example. Like glutamine are two sources where cancer that ferments in our body. The two sources, which is a glutamine ferment and a glucose ferment. And that byproduct of fermentation creates a perfect environment for cancer to grow. So if we are not putting our body, if we're not changing everything about it, environmentally, dietary, mentally, everything, then you can take as many lycopines as you want to, or you can take as many whatever, is out there, because there's so many things out there. It has anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, anti. But if you're not putting your body in that stage where your body is like basically ready to fight from every angle, what is it coming from? You balancing your diet, your sleep, your hydration, your everything. It's like a package of the stuff. That would help your immune system to make more natural killer cells. Of course, like bringing in sometimes some drugs into the picture. Antiparasitics do work very well. So
you can say the word.
huh?
You can say the word.
Yeah, antiparasitics, stuff like mebendazole, yes, ivermectin is those are the very I would say they do very well with lycopene is not bad, but it's weak for cancer. Cancer needs something stronger than that. So when you put when you put stuff in front of you and start targeting cancer from every angle, then cancer is going to lose the battle, and
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing about carbohydrates, especially things like bread. I don't know if you've ever done this when you were a kid, made paper mache projects or whatever in school or anything like that. And the idea is that how you make it is it's just flour and water is like the paste. It makes a pasty, and you dip the paper in it, and you create little projects or whatever. But that's what's going on when you eat these, especially highly refined white breads or whatever. It creates this paste, and in your digestive system, you have hair-like structures. They're called villi, and
realize.
they actually suck in all the nutrients across the whole villi and help move the food through peristaltic response. But um, the villi is where you get all your nutrients. And when you have this paste, it fills in the villi, and you're unable to get all of the nutrients across the villi. If you're not watching a screen or you're on the phone, I'm holding up my hand and I'm showing my fingers, and I'm showing the fingers as the villi. It gets impacted all the way up to the top, and you're only getting nutrients across the top. So we have a tremendous amount of people in this country that are overweight or even obese. So they're overfed, but they're also malnourished because the nourishment is only getting in the very tops of the villi. It's not getting in the bottom part. And unfortunately, what happens there too is that this begins to rot, and it causes what's called auto intoxication. So that's another area that you're going to find a great amount of inflammation as these toxins come into your body, because they then flow into your bloodstream out of your intestinal walls. So it's um, you know, it's gross, but they think it was John Wayne that they found that he had 10 pounds of fecal matter in him that
Yeah.
was just packed in his system when he's when he when they
That,
when he
yeah.
died. So it's an incredible thing, but that's another reason that carbs are bad, or especially refined carbs like breads.
Yeah. Dr. Joel Wallach said that he did over 17,500 autopsies on animals and people and the humans. And every disease that he did the autopsy on were due to the nutrition deficiencies. Every disease were due to nutrition deficiencies. That should say a lot. Certain compounds might not get like absorbed through our body. Some of them were due to genetics. That's a different story, but majority were to nutrition deficiencies. So that was a Samaria who asked the question. Samaria, it's not about what your husband is telling you or what your doctors are telling you. It's all about what do you want. It's your life, it's your body. What do you want yourself? And that's, I think, that has to be your number one focus right now. What do you want for yourself? And start from there. It's not about what your husband wants. He can support you, but it's not about what he wants or what your doctor is telling you to do. And I'm not telling you not to listen to your doctor. It's the most important. What do you want? How do you want to approach? It's your life, it's your body, and it's your decision.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a couple comments here from our friend Travis. Of course, Travis is welcome to unmute her mic and chime in at any time herself, but I will read out her comments as well to make sure that they are heard. She recommended getting a second or third opinion, that there might be another option. Absolutely. She gave a
Yeah.
personal story of changing hospitals to a different facility, and they actually said that there was more that she could do when her original facility made her feel like there was no hope. When you're told that there's nothing else you can do, another cancer center might be able to do more because they might have more to offer. I'm a three-time survivor who's told that she was going to die by 10 doctors in 1999. And yet here she is still here because of a third opinion. So she's offering some prayers and recommending talking to an oncology patient navigator for another opinion somewhere else. A reminder that your quality of life is important. So she's sorry to hear that you're going through this, and she hopes that BeatCancer.org helps you. And of course, we all hope that
Not
as well.
only is she here, but she is a super advocate, and she's doing God's work. She really is.
Yep.
She's a
Absolutely.
big player.
Amazing. Amazing. We got a new follow on Instagram for someone that liked this conversation. So that's super cool. And so we had a question on Instagram as well saying, can you take fenbendazole with chemo? I think we may have chatted about this a couple weeks ago.
We did, yes, you can. But again, talk to your doctor about it. Talk to a person who is prescribing and who is recommending to take, because dosages are based on the body weight and everything. But I know people do take fenbendazole with chemotherapy.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
We've got time for maybe another question or two. Here we go. My brother had thyroid, parathyroid, and 20 lymph nodes removed, but still has mass on the laryngeal nerve, and markers are up. That had radiation twice. So there's a lot going on here. We've had some lymph nodes removed. We still have a mass, and we've already had some radiation. Yeah. Any coach would like to weigh in on that? Well, I guess it's my. I thought we had more.
Well, gosh, when it comes to thyroid, there's so many things could trigger that. One of the main things are endocrine disruptors. There's something down the road had affected his thyroid that start created a problem for him. And addressing those endocrine disruptors would be one of the important things to look into that. Eliminating them, just because the numbers are up, or and he still have lumps, doesn't mean anything that he cannot reverse it. There's many ways that he can start working on it and reversing it. Just need to work with someone who knows what to do. I think his hormones are something. I mean, our hormones get attacked harshly when our body get introduced to a lot of toxins, whether it's coming from food or external. Everything matters. What you're eating from, what you're drinking from, what you're putting in your body, everything matters, and everything is going to affect the hormones. So I don't know what age he is, and if he would understand and work with someone who is going to explain to him the physiology and biology of human body, and know exactly how the thyroid works or endocrine system works, and help him to step on the right path, I don't see personally that he won't be able to reverse it. There is a many chances of reversing thyroid cancer.
They said radiation didn't work, and I'm not sure what to make of this last comment. They said he had DT Wong giving him teas, but he is missing sounds crazy. I don't know what that means personally.
I don't know either. Radiation is not going to work because cancer is not depletion of radiation. And the other thing is, like, a byproduct of radiation or chemotherapy is fermented glutamine. So even though when they radiate the tumor, the byproduct comes out to something that would fit cancer directly. That's why in so many cases, after the chemotherapy and radiation, tumor grows aggressively. So, and that's what, like, it upsets me a lot. We talked about like a system. So radiation truly not a source. I mean, like, a depletion of the tumor growth, particular thyroid tumor. There's so many ways that could be addressed, and without implementing harsh medications or going through the radiation. You just have to find a right person to work with.
Well, also too, I think since there's a bunch of lymph removal,
Yeah.
doing exercises to get what's existing to get that lymphatic system working again.
Yeah.
Just even a rebounder, just that little, the mini trampolines work really good.
There is a great book, by the way, I would highly recommend to read on a thyroid, on hormones, that Dr. David Brownstein's book, Iodine: Why You Need It, Why You Cannot Live Without It. One of the iodine deficiency, that I think one of the main causes of thyroid cancer. If don't get me wrong, I think that's what I understood from the book. And there's a lot of studies work done from Dr. Guy Abraham and Dr. perhaps I believe so. So there's a lot. Do your research, find someone you can work with, never give up because there's still stuff out there, you know.
Yeah, definitely the source of iodine is important.
Yes, it is. It is very important. And the level and the dosage of it is very important.
Absolutely. I'm not seeing any other. She said, thank you. You're very welcome. You're very welcome to join
Yeah,
us on next week's call. If you'd like to join us on Zoom, this way, if you can chat and get more clarity on the conversation, anyone is welcome to join us on the Zoom call itself by going to BeatCancer.org and clicking on the weekly call button right in the top menu. You can bookmark that webpage, and same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday, every week. We'll be here to chat about whatever we can chat about to bring you helpful information and educational tools and resources. But yeah, in these closing moments here, Rob, what'd you think? Do you have a good time? Let's get back to
Yeah,
Rob.
it was a blast, and I a number of times wanted to interject with how amazing I think I could help some of these people with some supplementation, but I don't want to. I want to do it at the appropriate time. I want to educate your team on our amazing supplement and how it's helping people. So I look forward to talking to BeatCancer.org about this amazing product that we have that I think is going to help a lot of people, and so. I look forward to doing that, and then maybe I'll feel more comfortable saying, "Hey, this product could help with doing X, right? With fatigue and with the master antioxidant that it is, and other things that I think will really help people." But we're in this mission as well as you. We just want to help people, and I love the talk about your coach is fantastic. I think just talking about the ways to help people naturally and faithfully. That's a key mantra of mine and ours. And so just a pleasure to be here and meet you, Carl, and meet the
Thank
team.
you. Thank you. Thank you
Awesome.
for joining.
Yeah, we thank you for joining us. We
Thank you.
thank.
Flew by.
What'd you say?
I said this hour just flew by. I can't even believe it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
We have one last comment there if you want to read it.
from Travis, he said some cancer will still be in the cells after chemotherapy and radiation. That's true. There are more cancer recurrences popping up in other parts of the body due to this. I'm with researchers on this now. Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, because stem cells of the cancer never get addressed. They kill cancer, but they don't. They never address stem cells, and stem cells keep producing cancer cells. So that's why chemotherapy and radiation never works. And my recommendations would be if people are deciding to choose to work with someone, do not go to registered dietitians because the school they graduate has been sponsored by Kraft food companies. So you do understand where their knowledge would be coming from. So choose someone to work with when it comes to nutrition that who truly knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
amazing. Well, thank you for everyone joining us. We love that we have more people joining us on these calls. We love that people are tuning in on socials and asking questions and engaging. It's really, really nice to have that feedback. It really keeps us going, and this only makes the call even better every week when people chime in and participate. And we just want to help as many people as we can with these calls. So thank you for everyone to everyone for participating, and we will see you next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Great job.